Creamer Media's Mining Weekly Online is talking to Stephen Haggerty, the Distinguished Research Professor of Florida International University. You've also been in Botswana and you've attended a geological conference there. What came out of that?
Okay, so this is the 11th International Kimberlite Conference, and I'm one of 8 now. So we're now called the Elegant 8. We've attended all 11. And so it started off in 1973. It was John Gurney at University of Cape Town, Louis Ahrens, also at University, and Barry Hawthorne, who was the chief geologist for De Beers. And that was a huge success because Barry Hawthorne persuaded De Beers essentially to open the security gates of mines in southern Africa, which allowed people like myself and those interested in the deep earth and an understanding of where diamonds form to go in and collect the necessary rocks. Now, it turns out that industry, a number of breakthroughs was made by De Beers and industry in general, but some of the really critical and deep understandings of the deep earth and how diamonds form, and therefore has led, in fact, to new discoveries, is that understanding. That has, for the most part, come out of academia. Okay? Now, some of the highlights of this meeting, so we've had meetings 11 all over the world, ranging from Siberia to Australia, a second one in South Africa. But those, the highlights, at least from my point of view, was the opening introductory historical review by Mike DeWitt. It was absolutely brilliant. And Mike told me afterwards he went to London and managed to uncover some very interesting documentation on the early days of De Beers. Not only that, they're in German, which he was surprised at, and I was shocked at. Okay, so anyway, that's what he did. That was brilliant. The second, so that was right at the beginning. The second was right at the end of the conference, at the banquet meeting. The after dinner talk was given by none other than Manfred Marx. Manfred Marx was among the 3 essentially pioneering exploration geologists in Botswana who discovered, I'll use it for their purpose, discovered the Arapa pipe in 1970, together with Gavin Lamont and Jim Davidson. But Manfred Marx was there. So given the fact that those kimberlite pipes, Arapa being one of the... So the site was well chosen for 2 reasons. One is that Botswana is the 2nd largest exporter of diamonds by volume, and is the 1st in terms of dollars per carat. Okay? Now, the other fascinating part of this introduction was the big diamonds that are coming out of Karawa in Botswana. Now, these are non-trivial for the following reasons. The 2nd largest diamond now to be found was the Cullinan largest, just over 3,000 carats. Then there was the Excelsior from my favorite Jagersfontein. But now it's the it's 1109 carats. Whoa. And it's the size of a tennis ball. They've tried on 3 different occasions to auction it. The comment is, even people with multiple Rolls Royces and Maseratis in their garage clearly cannot afford it. So they found that one. The very next day they found an 817 carat diamond. De Beers sold that property because they didn't think the grades were high enough. Now let's go now to Lesotho at the mine also producing big diamonds. The carat there is 1 to 2 carats 100 tons, whereas economically it's commonly in the range of 40 to 50 carats 100 tons. Once again, De Beers, so that's Let's Sing in Botswana. So here's the thing. These big diamonds are so-called type 2 diamonds. And I was fortunate enough to chair one of the sessions at the meeting. that focused on these big diamonds. And the question was always, where do they come from? Because they tended to lack mineral inclusions, which would have provided the depth and the environment of their origin. Now, and of course, because they're so big, there's no way that any academic could get their hands on it to do any research. But they've now found, they contact a lot of people through the Gemology Institute of America, and the final conclusion is that these big diamonds formed in the presence of metallic iron in the lower mantle, which means at depths of greater than 660 kilometers. So here's the really important thing. We previously had samples from the keel under the cratons, and we're sitting on the craton right here. And the diamonds that are in there are about 3 billion years old, but the kimberlites that brought them up, the elevator, as my French colleagues refer it, there are two major events in Earth's history, one at about 100 million years, another at about 1 billion years. So the diamonds have been sitting down there for 2.8 to 3 billion years, waiting to be picked up by the bus passengers, okay? But now what we see, we have diamonds from the transition zone, 410 to 660, and deeper than that, down to 660 kilometers. So this is a really major breakthrough. And so now it turns out these very low carat per 100 ton kimberlites, from my point of view, and I think industry, their eyes were awakened at this meeting. Those all need to be gone back to and looked at more carefully, because that's where the big diamonds are. That's where the diamonds of value are. The ones that were sold from Karawa ranged from $20 to $43 million for a diamond. The big one was still on auction. No one's wealthy enough to buy it. So that was a major highlight. Another was to go back to the discovery once again of Arapa under the thick Kalahari sands. And what Manfred Marx and others did, they looked at the so-called kimberlitic indicator minerals. In other words, minerals that are associated with diamonds and that provide an information to the diamond, to the mother lode. So what we do is we go into the rivers and streams, jig those. So we're looking for garnets, ilmenite, pyroxenes, minerals that are associated. And because diamonds form to a depth of at least 200 kilometers down, I think it's fairly easy to understand that the chemistry of other minerals associated with the diamonds have to be different from minerals that occur in the crust, for example, at 20 to 30 kilometers. And that's the genetic code that we and others have cracked. So we can tell from an ilmenite, the same ilmenite, similar ilmenite, mineralogically that occurs in the beach sands. One, it's from a kimberlite. Secondly, is it prospective? Secondly, thirdly, if it's associated with diamonds because of its high sensitivity to oxidation, will the diamond survive? So in other words, we can get a huge amount of information now from a very small mineral. So what Manfred Marx and Jim Davidson and others did, they started to look at the termite hills, and the termites bring these minerals to the surface. And not only that, as Leon Daniel showed, they actually do it in what he called the bucket brigade. They transfer the minerals from one termite to another and to another, and that's how they transport it to the surface. They're preserved in these termite hills, and that's how these deposits are being found now.
Incredible. That was Creamer Media's Mining Weekly Online, talking to Stephen E. Haggerty, the Distinguished Research Professor of Florida International University in the United States.